What factors influence the size of human population? Obviously, births and immigration will add an increased number of people within a country, while deaths and immigration will decrease the population size. Fertility rate and death rate also contribute to the size of a population, as well as the age distribution within that population. Population can grow, decline, or remain fairly stable in a country and also globally. Women are having fewer babies now, but the world's population is still growing. The total fertility rate is a term you should know. It's defined as the average number of children born to women in a population during their reproductive years. The global TFR was 5 children born to women during their reproductive years back in 1955. Now that total fertility rate is around 2.5. Hence, women are having fewer babies, but the population will still continue to grow. This graphic depicts the total fertility rates around the world with a color-shaded pattern. The global TFR in 1955 was 5 children per female, and has now dropped to 2.5 children as of 2013 data. Seeing a high total fertility rate of over 6 children per female include those that are shaded in red on the map. For example, in Africa, the countries of Somalia, Congo, Uganda, Chad, Niger, and a few others are shaded red. Please notice that it's only in Africa that the countries are shaded red. Countries experiencing a moderate TFR of 4 to 6 children per female include those shaded in orange on the map, such as Madagascar off the coast of Africa, Mozambique, Zambia, Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, Nigeria, and a few other countries in Africa. In the Middle East, Iraq, Yemen, Afghanistan, and also Papua New Guinea are considered to have a moderate total fertility rate of 4 to 6 children per female. Nearly 42 countries are in the moderate to high category for total fertility rate of more than 3 children per female. Less than 30 countries are in the lower category for the total fertility rate of less than 3 children per female. As such, there are more countries with a high TFR than a low TFR, which is contributing to the exponential population growth that we're experiencing. Please notice as well that most of the 42 countries that are in a high to moderate category for the TFR are developing countries, and they're located primarily in Africa, with a few being located in the Middle East. Most of the low total fertility rate countries, like the United States, Canada, Brazil, Australia, and much of Europe, are considered to be developed countries. Pre-industrialized agrarian families tend to have many kids. These are families that basically live off the land. And that's what we're seeing with the data depicted here, that many of these types of families live in Africa. Families that live in industrialized, urbanized, and developed areas tend to have smaller families, less children. Factors which affect fertility rate are as follows. If children are a part of the labor force, it may result in a higher TFR. If it costs a lot of money to raise and educate children, that may result in a lower TFR. If there are fewer children needed to support seniors, the result is TFR stabilizes. If there's more family planning in urban areas and access to inexpensive contraceptives and healthcare, it's likely that the TFR will decrease. Access to education and employment outside of the home can lead to a decreased TFR. Women over the age of 25 have fewer children, so depending upon the average age for marriage, it can impact the TFR. Legal abortion and reliable birth control also can lead to lower TFRs. Women joining the workforce can lead to lower TFRs, and being older age when getting married can also contribute to a lower TFR. This diagram depicts the total fertility rate on the y-axis versus per capita income. The fertility rates drop when health care, women's education, and contraceptives are available. If you look at this graphic, it appears that more countries experience a higher fertility rate if their per capita income is less than 10,000. So why do poor families have so many children? Well, parents want security when they get old, so they might have more children. In addition to that, some of these countries have high infant mortality rates, where children die at a very young age. As a result, parents will have more children to ensure that some kids survive. Some of these countries, the people live off the land in subsistence agricultural societies. The very young children can help do chores and field work and provide a helping hand, hence larger families. Some of these countries also have cultures that the status of the female increases with more children. In other words, the more children you have, the more highly thought of you are. Many of these countries have a lack of birth control available to women, and as a result, that can lead to a higher fertility rate. This graphic depicts contraception use and fertility rates. Basically, with the use of modern contraceptives, as indicated on the x-axis, fertility rate will decrease. So on the y-axis is the total fertility rate, and on the x-axis is the percent of women using modern contraceptives. So if you look at 60% up to 100%, those countries have a TFR of 3 or less children per female. And that's because they have modern contraceptives available to them. Countries that fall into this category include Mexico, Honduras, US, Cuba, Canada, Brazil, China, United Kingdom, and South Korea. If contraceptives are not available to the women, looking at 60% and lower, we find that the total fertility rate increases. The highest total fertility rate occurs for those countries where less than 10% or 20% of the women have modern contraceptives available to them. Notice that these countries of Mali, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone have a high total fertility rate of almost 5 children or more per female. Uganda and Tanzania and Yemen also fall into this category. So what are some solutions? Your book proposes that equal rights for women can be part of the solution. It's an important challenge for the world, yet a major step towards combating global population growth. There is a direct correlation to the age of a woman's first marriage and the overall number of children that she has. This data is from the Population Reference Bureau. So looking at the graphic, we'll see that on average, United States women get married at age 25, and our total fertility rate is around 2.1. As the average age of the first marriage decreases, the total fertility rate increases. Notice that in Nicaragua, young women are getting married at an age as early as 18. and the total fertility rate is 3.2 children per female. Notice in Niger, women could get married as early as 15, and the total fertility rate is 7 children per female. Basically, getting married at a younger age allows a longer reproductive time frame for more children to be born. This graphic compares infant mortality rates from 2013 data. The infant mortality rate is defined as the number of babies out of every 1,000 that die before their first birthday. Recall the earlier figure of total fertility rates, or TFR. There is a definite correlation between those countries experiencing moderate to high total fertility rates and those countries experiencing high infant mortality rates. Most of these countries, again, are in Africa. Notice that the orange and red shading indicate that 50 to 200 babies will die out of every 1,000 that are born before they reach their first birthday. Also notice this occurs in India as well. Countries that experience low infant mortality rate are shaded in dark green and light green, where between 2 to 19 babies out of every 1,000 might die before their first birthday. As a result of this low infant mortality rate, it does have a ripple effect into a low total fertility rate. The lack of security is not present in these countries. Over the last 100 years, human population has actually grown because of reduced death rates, and often that is because of nutrition, medicine, and sanitation. Life expectancy has actually increased. By the way, life expectancy is the average number of years a person may expect to live. And finally, infant mortality rates has also decreased. I do want you to keep in mind, however, that in the developing countries, these factors are not necessarily true. Lack of sanitation, lack of medicine, and lack of nutrition in the countries in Africa and the Middle East area can prove to have a high infant mortality rate as well as a high total fertility rate. As far as life expectancy is concerned, globally, the life expectancy value rose from 48 years in 1955 to 70 years in 2013. In developing countries or those that are in a more poor economic status, the 2013 value for life expectancy is 55. Overall, poverty is the most important factor that's affecting life expectancy.